Hi, folks. I just want to share with you about really the disturbing elements within and that disturbing element is that democracy has gone away, and we ought to be saying farewell to democracy. The idea today that we are free and that all is well within our democratic societies within the West is simply a lie and is a sham. And I'll give you some of the reasons why. Recently, we've had shootings of Jewish people in France. There are frequent attacks upon Jews in France. There are frequent attacks on Jews in Germany and across Europe. And the increase of attacks on Jews in the UK has risen. There have been desecration of Jews. There have been attacks on Jewish old men in the UK and upon Jewish buildings. And so the rise of anti-Semitism is growing at an alarming rate in the West. Now, in France, Jews are beginning to go back and leave France and go back to Israel or go to Israel. In the UK, it is now on record that Jewish people are living in fear in the UK. Ofsted, which is an organisation in the UK responsible for the oversight of education in the UK amongst children, recently children as young as 7 about what they thought about gay lifestyle. It seems to me that when we talk about democracy, we mean it for one group, but not for another. It is an absolute disgrace and an absolute shame that the Jewish people in Europe feel at this present time threatened, and many in Europe now are returning to Israel because of the fear that they have in Europe at this present time. What is interesting to note is an issue that has not been mentioned by the media, which is absolutely disorder, and that is this. There has been, in the last 15 to 20 years, of rise of Islam within our Western culture. And what we don't have, which would be interesting to have, but the media and the academics are keeping this information from us. But what it would be interesting to have is the statistics and the ratios of the attacks upon Jewish people in Western democracies and who those attacks are coming from. And I would hazard a guess that many of the attacks, if not most of the attacks, are coming from Muslims. The rise of Islam in the West is leading to Jews fearing their democratic rights in our Western cultures. We cannot pretend anymore that we're living in free society and democracy when one group of people in our democracies feels isolated and demonized. The other issue is it doesn't stop there. Once a group of people are demonized, the next step leads to action. That means physical violence. Western democracy is no longer democracy. It is a mirage. It is a pretense of the word. when you have thousands of Jewish people fleeing France to go to live in Israel because they're safe. Hundreds of thousands of Jews in the UK who are literally fearing for themselves. And this is not me being extreme. This was on Question Time, a very senior and important discussion panel on television in the UK, where MPs and various intellectuals generally accepted the fact that there were hundreds of thousands of Jewish people in the UK that are fearing the attacks that are happening at the present time. Make no mistake about it. If you think you are living in a democracy in the West, you are surely deluded. What can you make of this? Well, let's turn to Matthew chapter 24. Matthew 24. As Jesus leaving the temple grounds, verse 1, his disciples pointed out to him the various temple buildings, but he responded, do you see all these buildings? I tell you the truth, they will be completely demolished. Not one stone will be left on top of another. Later, Jesus sat on the Mount of Olives. His disciples came to him privately and said, tell us, when will all this happen? What sign will signal your return to the end of the world? Jesus told them, don't let anyone mislead you, for many will come in my name, claiming I am the Messiah. They will deceive many, and you will hear of wars and threats of wars, but don't panic. Yes, these things must take place, but the end won't follow immediately. Nation will go to war against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in many parts of the world, but all this is only the first of the birth pains, with more to come. Then you will be arrested, persecuted, and killed. You will be hated all over the world because you are my followers. And many will turn away from me and betray and hate each other. And many false prophets will appear and will deceive many people. In other words, the end is near. We are in the end time, and the Lord is soon to come back. And as a Christian, you need to wake up. You need to realize we are in the last days. The Lord could come back anytime. We need to be busy about the Master's business, preaching and teaching the word of God and doing good deeds. This is no time to go to sleep as a Christian, but to awake and realize the danger that the West is in and the Lord's people are in. And we need to be much in prayer and much about the Father's business. God bless you and take care. Farewell to democracy. It is a delusion. Let us hang our hopes on Christ and not the political leaders of this world.